Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet, presented to you by Betway. I'm Adam Peddle, joined alongside by Nicholas Paleolog. We've got to talk about Roki Sasaki right now because things are getting a little bit interesting. Maybe some teams are scrambling to find a little bit more money to convince them to join their team, and as well, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. rumors going over to the Mets, maybe? The Mets are pushing hard for Vladdy. What does that mean? We got to talk about all that and as well some other free agent rumors and news like Alex Bregman and as well Pete Alonso. But before we get into it, guys, Nick, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It feels like it's starting to feel like baseball is on the horizon. Now, I don't want to say it's, like around the corner or anything like that, but I think that now that we're middle of January, it's like, we're getting closer to February, it's on the horizon. You can start to actually picture yourself, come, end of March or beginning of April type thing, sitting down, cracking a cold one and then watching your team take the field, So for that reason alone, I'm a little bit excited at, okay, like these players, they're going to teams, but sooner rather than later, we might actually watch these teams.
Man, it's always pitchers and catchers report. Like, as a fan, like, you get all the interviews that come out for the pitchers and catchers report, all the, rumblings, all the things that they've been not saying, all the players have been quiet all offseason.
Yeah.
And then you get all that coming out, like, that gets exciting, and then you got to wait a little bit longer. And then that first spring training game when you're watching it on television, ooh, that's so sweet.
It hits different, man. It does hit different. So, and honestly, it's going to hit different for Mr. Roki Sasaki because this is going to be his first time doing this whole pitchers and catchers reporting thing in MLB, assuming, of course, he does sign with the team, which he is going to do, everybody. We're recording this podcast on January 16th. The deadline for him to select a baseball team is going to be January 23rd, so he's got 1 week of time, and that also gives 1 week of time to the Padres, to the Dodgers, and to the Blue Jays to get all of their international funds together, pool all their money, and throw it at this guy. And apparently there is a race right now. It feels like a bit of a, I was going to say an arms race, but it kind of feels like it's literally, kind of, it's an arms race to get all this money going so that they can buy Roki Sasaki. And obviously he is worthy of said dollar, but they're going hard for him right now.
Like the word on the street is that the Padres and the Dodgers are going hard for that international money right now. It came out yesterday that Sasaki would be more interested in signing with the team if they could increase their international signing pool bonus by 60%. But I do think it's weird, though, because, that's just a signing bonus pool, right? That's a one-time you get paid. And I don't know, maybe he's got some like intermediate plans or some short-term plans of what he wants to do with that money real quick before he gets all the amazing money that comes with all the sponsorships and all the deals. Because like he could easily get like $50 million. That's what it was reported months and months ago. Like this guy could easily get $50 million in 1 year from sponsorships. So it's for me, I do think it's interesting that he would sway his decision based on $3 more million? I
mean,
I don't know.
$3 more million is a lot of money to somebody that doesn't currently have $3 million. And
I get it.
But it's like nothing's guaranteed.
It's one of those things where it's, I get it. Maybe you hurt yourself in this year. I get it, but I do think it's interesting how you're going to decide the next 6 years where you want to play based on $3 million. When by that point you could have already made $300 million.
Well, potentially, but he's down to the 3 finalists, right? And I think that I'm assuming or I'm hoping, especially as a Toronto Blue Jays fan, it's like, okay, I like these 3 teams. I would be comfortable with playing with either one of these 3 teams. Now it's that additional aspect. Who's going to give me the most money right now?
Right. Well, my point is, like, I think it's like, I think that money is just like, well, you're all wanting to compete with me. I know if I throw it out there, like, get me more money, they're all going to do it, and I'll just get a little bit more money. But that's why I was thinking, like, he might already have a pretty good idea of who he's going to go with. But this is just leverage right now and saying, I'm gonna get a little bit more money.
I mean, maybe not though, right? Like if he doesn't have, that's the thing. If he doesn't actually have a good idea as to where he's going,
right?
It's like, okay, well, these guys dropped everything they were doing. They got me $3 additional more million. I was comfortable going there anyways. This puts me over the top, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying, right? Because it's like, well, if I don't think it makes that big of a difference in the grand scheme of like everything he's going to do in his entire career, like $3 million.
Probably not.
Right, because like, is $3 million going to decide whether I go with Toronto or LA. I don't think so. That's where I'm coming from.
Well,
I think,
but what I think it might, right? It's I guess like if you look at it in the sense of for him, if he's actually okay with going to all these three teams, and maybe you don't believe that, right? And maybe that's why.
Yeah,
If he's actually decided, it's like, okay, I can see myself playing the next 6 years of baseball with the Toronto Blue Jays, with the San Diego Padres, or with the LA Dodgers. All of these to me,
they're
are
all
perfect.
equal to me.
Yeah, they're all perfectly fine. All right, well, who wants to give me $3 more million and I'll go play there?
Right. Yeah, I mean, possibly. If it was all equal, that would be phenomenal.
It's like, okay,
that would be phenomenal.
I'm good with
that would be.
I'm good with either one of these options. So whatever happens.
Phenomenal because we're Blue Jays fans.
Yeah.
Right? Not phenomenal if you're a Dodgers fan. Because if I'm a Dodgers fan, I'm like, wait, are we all equal here? I thought we were the clear favorites, which I still think they are.
I still think they probably are.
I mean, literally this past week, he walked in a room with Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto, suspectedly, because he was meeting with Dodgers and all their stars. Like, I think there's a bit of sway over here in Dodger land if I'm Sasaki,
No, probably. But I guess for me, it's just like, if that's the case, why did you tell all those other teams that you were out? It's like you might as well have kept them all in if it was this one big bidding war, right? I'm hoping, or I do think that there's an element, even if in his mind it's like, yeah, I'd probably prefer to go to the Dodgers. I think that the Toronto Blue Jays being in this, he has actively thought about it, and he's been like, okay, I would be okay with playing here. I would be comfortable with playing here. Would I prefer to maybe go to the Dodgers? Yeah, maybe. But I think it might be closer than what people are anticipating.
Yeah, possibly. Well, Mark Feinsand anticipates that it's no longer a 3 finalists for Sasaki. It's 2 because of the fact that after he came out with like, hey, I need some more international signing pool money, it was just Dodgers and Padres.
Well, and that's
scrambling.
Listen, that's got nothing to do with Roki, and that's just got to do with the mismanagement, I think, from the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, potentially they know, like, they've had internal conversations with him and his camp, and like it hasn't been revealed to the public that like, hey guys, like, I'm probably not coming here. In which case it's like, all right, well, I guess don't bother then.
Yeah, why would I trade away, my own talent for money that I'm not going to spend on you?
Yeah, exactly. So if they already know that, if the Toronto Blue Jays already know that, then it's like, all right, I get it. Like, just, don't worry about it. Let those guys fight over him. But if that hasn't been told to you right now, if you don't know, if you're still under the impression that like we had a good meeting, there is a chance here. Maybe if it's not an equal chance, there's a 15% chance that he comes here. I don't know why you're not dropping everything right now and going out and getting more money.
You should be, because they didn't actually spend any money this
nope.
In this international signing. They didn't sign a single person, the Toronto Blue Jays. So you'd imagine it's like, okay, they're obviously gearing up for Roki. That's obviously the goal, but we'll see what happens. If they miss out on him, then, well, you're left with nothing yet again, Blue Jays, with no backup plan.
And I do want to be clear, right? It's like I think that I think that because there are 3 finalists here, he would be all right with going to either one of them in some capacity. But I've also been very outspoken in saying that the whole time I think the Dodgers are the favorites. I think it makes sense for him to go to the LA Dodgers. I could also see an argument for the Padres, and that's why I don't think anybody's ruling them out, because it's like, okay, that's still a very good team, very cool place to live.
Darvish plays for the Padres.
Legendary Japanese pitcher right there, potential Hall of Famer type thing, right? So, yeah, like, yes, I could definitely see arguments for that as well. Toronto Blue Jays are the biggest stretch, but they're going to become even more of a stretch if they don't even go and get that additional $3 million.
Right, and it's a stretch because the Blue Jays have always been in this place in this category where you're always going to be the runner-up. You're always going to be not. The what do they call it? The bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah.
You're always going to be that, and then you're in Canada. You're in cold weather. Actually, a funny thing. You just reminded me. Ken Rosenthal brought it up and said that Sasaki to the Blue Jays would be an odd fit.
I know he did. Like, yeah. Well, Ken Rosenthal just hates Canada in general.
He just hates Canada. Like, what's the odd fit here?
I think it's because ultimately. I assume that he kind of misspoke there in thinking that it's an odd fit when you think about the other people in the race. I don't think he would.
Fit.
That's the thing. I don't think it would be an odd fit if the other 2 horses in this 3-horse race were the Rockies and the Miami Marlins.
Right.
then it wouldn't be an odd fit at all. Then it's
exactly.
like, oh, this is the fit that makes sense. It's only an odd fit when you're, comparatively speaking to the LA Dodgers and the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, because you can make arguments where it would look, obviously it would look the best on the Dodgers. You have Yamamoto, Ohtani, you have a complete rotation now. You're set up to be a dynasty forever. The Padres, you can convince yourself because of Yu Darvish, who he does idolize. He going and playing for your, idol. That's awesome. That's a great fit. Whereas the Blue Jays, you're right. Like, what is it that is making it look like a sexy fit, other than the fact that he's gonna be a good pitcher in the rotation.
The one guy that we did have that was over there just left, and now he's getting drunk with Yu Darvish. So
see, that's what part of me as a Blue Jay fan was hoping, like, I wonder if, like, you saying Darvish, like, linked up, or like or Kikuchi spoke to Sasaki and it was like, hey, like, put in a good word for the Blue Jays, or whatever, because technically the Blue Jays kind of changed his career around.
I mean, maybe, but where did he end up going when it was all
retirement?
He went to LA.
He went to retire. The Angels. The retirement home.
Angels.
The retirement home. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. He didn't. He was. Let's face it. Kikuchi wasn't good enough to get the invite from the LA Dodgers.
No.
He went over to the next best thing, being the LA Angels over there. But that's the latest right now on Roki Sasaki. We're obviously going to be following it very, very closely, folks. We should get a decision, like I said, by January 23rd. But I would say that probably err on the side of the 20th, 21st, 22nd type thing, because they are trying to find all this additional money. You're going to need to see a transaction happen between the LA Dodgers or between the Padres or what have you before anything actually happens. So that might be a really good indicator. Like, if you get the update, it's like, oh, Padres trade, this prospect to this team for $3 million in international signing money. Then you might want to be refreshing Twitter pretty quick, because that might be like the domino that immediately sparks the signing.
That's what I thought when the Blue Jays traded Brett DeGoz. For people, if you know that name, shout out to you. But when they traded him, I was like, is this international bonus pool money? No, it wasn't. It was just regular
dude.
cash.
He's not worthy of that.
No, he's nobody.
Yeah.
So that's that for Roki. We'll keep you guys updated on that. This came out yesterday evening, and there's a lot of people talking about this, and a lot of people have a lot of different opinions. So this makes for some great conversation. Apparently, the Mets have checked in on the Toronto Blue Jays on star first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That is according to SYN Andy's Martino. And then some people followed up with that, like Hector Gomez. He's been a big star of the media this offseason. And he was saying that, he quote tweeting that, being like, yes, they are pushing hard for Guerrero, being the Mets. They're pushing hard for him. What do you think that is? Why is this happening now? What do you think about that? Why would the Mets be going for him right now, pushing him?
Okay,
well, start the conversation.
There's a bunch of different elements to this and variables, but like let's get to the baseline level right here. Mets are a good baseball team. Guerrero's a good baseball player. Mets currently don't have a first baseman. Guerrero is a first baseman.
Superstar.
It's legitimately as simple as that,
right.
Everybody. It's like just on a base level shit. It's like, he's good. We're good. He plays the position we need. We want him. So
Correct.
There's all that element, and I do genuinely believe that the Mets are looking at this. Like, this is serious stuff right now. They're gonna call. They're gonna give a legitimate offer. If they could get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on their team, I'm sure they would be more than happy to do so. Now you also got to factor in Pete Alonso into all of this. Pete Alonso was the guy there for a long period of time. He is a free agent, and he's not getting what he wants. They have been back and forth, time and time again this offseason, him and the New York Mets, and they're just not coming to a deal. And it feels like the New York Mets, they've gone to where they're going to go. They aren't budging anymore. So an argument can be made, well, are they putting this stuff out there right now to potentially leverage Pete Alonso's camp? I think maybe. I think it's one of those things where it's like two birds, one stone. Yeah, we could be throwing this out there to leverage Pete Alonso. We're also throwing it out there to actively see what is the price on Guerrero. Does it make sense for us to trade for him?
Yeah, well, I mean, the fact that they already reached out, I think they already reached out to him, and they may have checked in already. They would probably already figure out the price of Guerrero of that, but I'm talking about like leaking the information out there, because this came from SYN or SNY, which is a Mets journalist. they could have leaked the information out there to put pressure on Pete Alonso. There's no reason for them to leak the information out there, other than maybe a little bit something like that.
Okay, yeah. If the thinking is that the New York Mets tactfully leaked this, and it was their decision, then okay, yeah, maybe. But that's also assuming that, somebody didn't say something to someone and it just got leaked regardless.
Sure.
Right.
And, right. And I got to give credit to Foul Territory because they were kind of coming out talking about this. So it's like, this that's in their words, an obvious kind of tactic for them to push Pete Alonso, because here's the thing, they're very close. But they've agreed on a short term, like the length of this contract, which is 3 years, but there's a gap right now in between the money, and they're trying to do anything to get the deal done because spring training is coming up. It could be, it could not be, but regardless, either it was leaked or whatever, but that could be a reason why it was out there. In the
sure.
first place.
Like I said, it's it really is a two birds one stone type of thing. I don't know, did the Mets decide to leak this or not? Whatever, they're still going to benefit from it regardless, because of that aspect of things. I do genuinely believe though, this isn't, fake stuff. I think that they're not doing this just for the purposes of, leveraging Pete Alonso. I think that they would actively be interested in trading for Guerrero, and if the price was, or if the package was remotely close, I think that at that point, they would halt the Pete Alonso talks to then see if they could do this.
Right. I mean, potentially, right? I find it hard to believe that, the Blue Jays at this point already, that they would be thinking about a Guerrero trade at this point.
Again, sure, yeah.
Because it's you already got Jeff Hoffman. You're already in the Roki Sasaki, I hope I said that right, sweepstakes. You're already negotiating right now with him a contract. For them to ship him off, it feels kind of weird. It feels like that weird 1 foot in, 1 foot out situation.
I don't disagree with you, man. But again, it's apparently from Hector Gomez, they're pushing really hard and putting together a really strong package. And if you are the Toronto Blue Jays, it is your due diligence and your job to listen to this, right? So yeah, I agree with you that. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense from what you've already done. I don't think I want them to trade Guerrero, but if the New York Mets call you up and they're like, here's our top 3 prospects in our system and an MLB player ready that's right now, then and that's just too good for Toronto to pass up. Maybe they start to think about it.
Yeah,
it all depends on how hard the Mets are actively pushing here.
Yeah.
And I do think that they are legit about they on their side of things are for real, and they would be more than happy to trade for Guerrero
for sure,
or get Alonso back. It
depends on the contract too, because or not the contract, the package. Because at the end of the day, Vladdy's awesome. Obviously, we love Vladdy, but he is, at the end of the day, just a rental 1 year piece, and then he's going to hit free agency.
Not so it's for New York, though.
Right, but he's definitely going to be hitting free agency at this point. If he's already at this point with the Jays, the team that he already said he wants to sign with, he's going to be hitting free agency and testing out the entire market.
I don't know if that's true, though, Adam. I think he gave them a number. The number's 450. Steve Cohen pays 450.
Right.
The Jays
but
don't.
Granted, you also got to factor in that Vladdy has spent his entire career with the Blue Jays organization and wants to play here.
You don't think he wants to play with Juan Soto for the next decade?
How do we know that he likes the Mets? You never know.
You're right.
Don't know.
You
don't know.
I hear what you're saying, but I think if I would give Steve Cohen and the New York Mets a lot more credit to be capable of getting the deal done, and if Guerrero is willing to come to the table, they'll get it done.
Right.
Whereas I don't think that the Toronto Blue Jays are capable of doing that.
Now, would he hold the same standards that he had with the Blue Jays, where it's spring training?
I don't know, Guerrero.
Yeah.
It's we don't. That's
we do know that he. What I'm saying is, we do know he has a deadline at the start of spring training. So
probably.
You know what I mean?
I think probably
be the same kind of situation. So that's where I'm kind of at right there. Where it's if the trade happened, let's say hypothetically it happened in spring training, then it's he might not negotiate until free agency, right?
If the trade happened, 2 months from now, sure, then it's all right, he's probably he will hit free agency at that point because it's too far gone. If the trade happened right now and they actually, if everything went the way, I genuinely wouldn't be shocked to see if Steve Cohen went out and did it.
I agree.
I also think too, this there's a whole side element to this. We already kind of knew this, but for me, this almost puts a little bit of pressure on the Toronto Blue Jays as well. Like, if you're genuinely serious about getting an extension done, well, now you know that Steve Cohen's going to be in on it.
Right.
If, of course, they do miss out on Pete Alonso, right? If they don't end up getting Pete Alonso, and we hold on to Guerrero and we don't trade for him, Steve Cohen's going to be in the mix here. And you know that whatever offer you're offering, like, he's going to do more than that.
Yeah, Steve Cohen and the Boston Red Sox, too. Like, they're reported to be in that in as well.
And ultimately, it's like, well, you got Devers over there and you got Soto here. And
I mean,
like, I do think that if I was Vladdy and, whether I got traded there or not traded there, what have you, if I got, if the Mets are coming to me and Soto, my buddy that I play video games with, is calling me up and being like, dude, like, we are both going to be here for the next decade, I smash that off.
Assuming, because we already know Steve Cohen's price will be right.
That's
going to be right.
The price, he wouldn't undersell him, right?
No, exactly.
He wouldn't undersell him at all. So, from a Toronto Blue Jays standpoint, again, like, this all comes down to how much money are they willing to spend here, right? And you really need to be thinking about that from a Blue Jays standpoint. If his number is 450 or what have you, you got to fucking ask yourselves, are we willing to pay it? And are we going to be more willing to pay it now or more willing to pay it in a year from now? Because if you're not willing to pay that now, what's going to change a year from now?
Exactly.
And if it's not going to change in a year from now, then you might as well take Steve Cohen's top 3 prospects.
Right.
Just, again, it's food for thought here, but,
Well, let's talk about that, because some word came out from Scott Mitchell on TSN that the Blue Jays haven't even offered a contract yet. This is the second time that they offered a contract. We talked about this in the last show. They have offered the second contract, and there's 3 different versions of it. One's a 10-year, one's an 11-year, and one is one with deferred money. But none of them start with a 4.
Yeah,
that's just
embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. And yes, they do have a month left, and maybe this is the beginning of their negotiation tactic. They'll start here and then creep their way up eventually. But you're right. Like, if you're serious about signing Guerrero, just give him the money now that he's going to get in a year from now.
Exactly. And, this should, be an indicator. Like, honestly, the Toronto Blue Jays, Ross Atkins, all those guys, they better be praying to God that Pete Alonso works it out with the New York Mets. Because that kind of takes them out of the race. Now, you never know with Steve Cohen, but, like, you'd assume that would take them out of the race. If he doesn't, then, like, lock it. He's a New York Met.
Right.
Seriously. Yeah. I genuinely fully believe that wholeheartedly. It's because we're just, we've shown time and time again on a Blue Jays standpoint that, we're not willing to meet that price that some of those other crazy people are willing to do. So.
Can you imagine if Steve Cohen gets Alonso, convinces him, gives him a lot of AAV for like 1 year with like an opt-out? And it's like, okay, well, now that gives us options to go get Guerrero next year.
That's worst case scenario.
Yeah,
then he's out on a trade, and he is going to be in on the extension too, right?
Yeah.
So, look again. I don't think that Vladdy's going to get traded. I don't think that the Toronto Blue Jays management would have the balls to do it. I also don't think that, even though Steve Cohen and the Mets are psychopaths, I don't know if they're quite willing to go balls to the wall with a trade package, especially when Pete Alonso is on the table.
Right.
However, all that being said, I think where there's smoke, there's fire, and I wouldn't. If Pete Alonso, for instance, does fly off the board here to some mystery team, if he goes to out of the woodwork, it's like, oh shit, like Cubs get him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Cubs.
Name a team, right?
Yeah.
Like they pick him up, and it's a 2-year deal, and it's a lot of money, and blah blah blah. Then I think that this becomes a lot more real very, very quickly.
And if you're the Blue Jays, I think you gotta slap down that dollar.
You gotta. That's the thing. You either have to put down the money now for Vladdy, or you need to seriously start thinking to yourselves. Are we? Would we be willing to take a trade right now?
Would Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins be willing to do it?
It's $450 million to keep him. If not, give me the prospects.
You'd think that Mark and Ross they wouldn't, just because I'm reading right here. Even John Heyman brings it up where it's like, we got to remember, like, they're on their like almost final years of contract in 2026. Like, if you punt Vladdy away, it all depends on the return, I guess. But if you punt him away for like middling prospects and you clearly lose that trade, like, you're done.
Why?
Like, you're cooked.
Listen, I think they're done anyways, unless they get the extension.
Unless they extend
right?
them, get Roki, and win next year.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
So that's where they're at right there. But, folks, let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. trade? Would it make any sense? It would if you give us Juan Soto. I'll take that.
Yeah.
1-for-1, Soto for Vlad.
I've seen generated AI images of like Soto and Frankie in Blue Jay uniforms. We're like, this is the package.
This is the package, baby. All right, okay.
dude, the whole world would be shocked.
Would be in shock. Yeah, Steve
What's
Cohen
going
just
on?
got fucking hammered.
He got
one
hammered.
night and just like lost it.
That'd be hilarious, man. Let's give a really quick shout out to Betway here, everybody. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the details section to join the action. Must be 19 years older to participate. In Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Big time NFL game this weekend on Sunday. Buffalo Bills, Baltimore Ravens. My goodness, this is going to be a great game. Right now, in Buffalo, the Bills are the favorites. 2 exactly. That's the multiplier for Moneyline. Ravens 1.83.
Oh, so the Ravens are favorites.
Oh, sorry, underdogs. I meant underdogs for the underdogs are the Bills in their own home stadium after being having the better record all year.
Interesting. That's
really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, the momentum right now with Baltimore is it's fierce and it's scary, and like the way that Lamar Jackson was playing last weekend
was awesome.
I just don't know how you stop it. That being said, Josh Allen was playing pretty damn good too.
The 2
right?
MVP favorites,
exactly.
Right here.
You know, I don't know. I personally think that Lamar Jackson is the MVP this year. And for that reason, I'll take the MVP and take the Baltimore Ravens. But listen, it's flip a coin.
You literally, and I do think it's flip a coin. You're in Buffalo. Who knows what the weather's going to be like, right? Like if it's snowy.
But Derrick Henry, though, when it's snowy.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I don't know. Maybe he slips. I don't know. But because it's a flip a coin, I'm getting better odds on the Bills. And I actually like the Bills to go on and beat the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. So
which is
I'm gonna give me the Bills.
Super fair, guys. Let us know in the comments down below. Who do you have for that game? That is probably game of the year up to this point, or I guess depends on what happens. But
until they face whoever wins this, I think goes and faces the Chiefs. If I'm not mistaken,
assuming the Chiefs win.
Assuming the Chiefs win, they probably will. Well, they face them.
They face in Houston at home.
Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, and there's nothing that anyone can do about it because they got the bye week. Then they get a cake matchup at home.
Yeah.
Then they will have one really tough game, and then it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then you never know the Super Bowl, right? Lions, Eagles, who knows?
Sure, but even if I have to watch them in this, like they're going to,
they're
going to
the Super Bowl.
So it's
inevitable, guys. So death, taxes, and Chiefs Super Bowl appearances. Let's move on. Let's talk about Alex Bregman because he's gone completely silent. And because he's gone completely silent, there's more people checking in and being like, hey, Alex, I know you're not getting the deal that you want, so why don't we give you something else? The Cubs are now in the mix for Alex Bregman. They were joining the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, and I believe who else were they joining here? The Detroit Tigers. They're joining the mix, but they're coming with a different offer. They're not going and saying, hey, we're going to talk to you on your level of you want $200 million and a bunch of AAV between $25 and $30 million. Let's step down a little bit. We'll give you that AAV. Hell, maybe we'll even give you more, but just for 1 year with some player opt-out options. And that's what they did with Bellinger, right? Very similar, very different player, but very similar deal. Honestly, if I'm Alex Bregman at this point, like we all knew at the beginning of this offseason, like what he wanted was a bit of a stretch. Getting over $200 million for a guy in the back half of his career. Very consistent and good, but how long is that going to last? Dip in the numbers in terms of on-base percentage. If I'm Alex Bregman, if you're not getting that contract, then maybe I go and get my AAV with some nice juicy player options and, load up on some cash and prove to myself that I can do it, and prove to everybody else that I can do it. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think if you were Alex Bregman, that might make sense. But, this article's crapping out on me. But Alex Bregman isn't interested in signing a short-term deal, or at least that's what he's come out and said. And he does not want to lower his price at all. So,
Jesus
I mean,
Lord.
he is really sticking to his guns here. He wants the $200 million. Again, like, it doesn't look like he's going to get, and it feels like as time goes on, like the need or the want for these, like, you've had a time now, if you're a baseball team, to really evaluate, really think about this.
Yeah.
When something new comes out and it's like there's other people around, like, you feel frantic, you got to get it, you got to buy it, right? It's like I got to get it right now. I feel like we've lost that element of, like, urgency right here. And that's not a good thing for Alex Bregman. Like, he wants to create that urgency, because that's when people do stupid shit, and that's when you end up having buyer's remorse a year later. And it's like, why did we give this guy $200 million?
Right.
Doesn't sound to me like anybody is at that spot right now, from a front office standpoint, to go up to the 200. And if Bregman's not willing to budge, like, something's got to give. And and it doesn't feel like it's going to be a baseball team that's going to give. So I guess it's got to be Alex Bregman, and you got to come to terms with the fact that it isn't going to be the 200 that you wanted. I know it sucks. Like, you had a great career. Like, get angry at the market, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know, man. That's where I'm at with this.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought, I like this deal that the Astros gave him, like a 6-year 156. I was like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Like, that's a great deal for you. Like think about your buddy George Springer at the very similar age that he hit free agency, got 150 for 6. At that time, he was like peaking. He was doing. You're kind of leveling out right now. So, like, I'd be grateful that I got 156 for 6 years with the team I've been playing with my entire career.
Yeah,
like, that's
I don't have to move. I'm good here.
Right.
Like, we've won multiple World Series.
Right.
Like,
and that's what makes me believe, like, if he really doesn't want to budge, and if he doesn't want to budge and sign a 1-year deal or with player opt-outs or whatever, then just go and take the fucking 6-year 156.
Wow.
With the Astros. Go back home.
Here's the thing, though. I do think ultimately, like, if that's the benchmark, one of these squads is going to be better than that.
Right. You think,
someone's going to...
The Blue Jays?
Could be. Could actually be.
Right.
Seriously. But, I don't know if anyone's going to go up to the 200 or 200 plus that he's been looking for. But if the number's 156, like, someone's going to give him 170. Someone. In fact, I would argue that probably there's an offer on the table that's got that number on it right now. He just doesn't want to take it.
Yeah. So either he lowers his total dollars that he wants, or he lowers the years. That's what it comes down to.
Here's the thing. I personally don't think that it's a good idea for him to do the 1 year? The 1 year.
I agree, because, how many years? That's the whole conversation. How many years does he have left? If he does the exact same thing he does last year, it's like, okay, well, you're the same player, but now you're older.
Exactly.
So
you're effectively, and it's not like you had a bad year last year. Like, you played good baseball.
Yeah.
Like, you really did. You played good baseball, and I think anybody would want that. So it's like, I just think that you'd be risking too much if you're Alex Bregman, and it's like a minimal gain. Like, okay, if you go out and you win MVP, yeah, you're going to get more money.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But, like, there's also a larger range of outcomes that you either do the same and your money is kind of the same, actually lower because you're older now, or, you end up doing worse or you get hurt or something like that, and now you're really in the shitter. So, when I have, like, over $150 million on the table from any, kind of my pick of the litter, too. Like, you got teams on here, right?
Yeah.
You got squads that are interesting. Like, Houston's been a good squad for a long period of time. I'm not going to argue that Toronto is good or any capacity, but it's different and it's a cool city. And Detroit should be on the upswing. If there's $170 million on the table, like, I think you just got to come to terms with that and take it.
You're right, because you really don't want to risk it. I agree with that, man. Like, Alex, what are you doing?
It's
dude?
not worth the risk.
Don't overthink this, man. Like, it's 170 million or 156, whatever, dude. Like, just take it. You already had a contract before this too. Like, you signed an extension with the Astros before. Like, it's not like this is your only payday. This is your second payday.
Yeah, so, like, you're gonna finish your MLB career making over $200 million.
Yeah, you're fine, dude. You go sign.
That's the thing. Like, again, like, they don't look at it that way. Like, for somebody like me and you, who is like, I couldn't even imagine sniffing $1 million, let alone 150.
Yeah.
It's just not the same, right? For a guy like this, like, I don't even know. I don't know how you look at it. I don't know how you justify it, but
okay, so he's already made $107 million in his career.
Wow. So if you
come
end
on.
up, yeah, like you're gonna, when it's all said and done, like you could, with your probably marketing and everything, you probably will have finished baseball making roughly $300 million.
Right, exactly, right. And he's a former second overall pick. Like, you're a former second overall pick. If you were to be like, this guy's gonna make $250 million in your career, success.
Yeah.
You hit it. You did it.
Yeah.
Congrats, Alex.
You did it all, man.
Like, go take the money, man.
And you won multiple. Whatever, man. Like, Alex Bregman's pissing me the fuck off right now.
I know, right?
Just, like, listen, to sign a team. I feel like if I'm like Pete Alonso, I'm calling this guy up right now, and I'm like, fuck you, dude. You see what's going on with me?
Right.
See what's happening with me right now? Take your goddamn money,
Yeah, seriously.
Because they could do the same thing that's happening with Pete Alonso right now, Alex Bregman. If your defense falls off next year, exact same thing's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
If not worse.
Pete Alonso's a better hitter than you, dude.
He is.
And he's still not getting
That's the thing. The only thing is the defense. That's the only argument that you have right now. Winning that Gold Glove was huge for you because that's your selling point, but clearly it's not selling you enough.
No, not enough at all. So that's the latest on Alex Bregman. We got one more segment here, and I think this is cool, and I can't wait to follow this guy's career. The A's are having one hell of an offseason. I'm not going to lie, guys. They're like my sneaky, like, lovable dark horse. Not like dark horse, like you're going to be good next year or anything, but like dark horse is like a good offseason because they get Luis Severino. They extended Brent Rooker for like the tenure of his rest of his career, and then they go and they sign in this whole international signing bonus pool. They sign another two-way sensation Japanese slugger at 18 years old. I'm going to have to pronounce his name. It is Shotaro Mori.
Yeah?
He signed for, that's pretty good. Well, he signed for $1.5 million, and he says that his comparison is Jacob deGrom on the mound and an Ellie De La Cruz with his defense and his slugging ability. So, hey, if the A's develop this guy, they go over to Vegas, this guy comes up, he leads this team, and he becomes the next Shohei Ohtani. Pretty damn good rebuild for those A's.
I think that's ultimately what they're trying to do right now is just like, look, throw some darts at some promising young kids right here, and then the idea is, well, when we get to Vegas, however many years that's going to take, we should have more money. And if by the time we get there, we already have like a good player here, a foundational player right there, oh shit. Now we have money to spend. Right. Can we actually do a thing?
I would love that.
Oh, of course. I think athletic fans would love that too, right? Like you're hoping and you're assuming that Vegas is the promise of money. That's what you're hoping for. And if you're A's fans, like that's got to be that's the light at the end of the tunnel right here. But if you can get there and then I don't know. Let's say that you get there in 5 years from now. This guy's 23 years old. He's played 1 year in MLB at this point and was like promising, nice little season there. It's like, okay, well, we got this guy. We got money now. Something to build. There's building blocks that we've already established. And I think that's got to be their mission in the next couple of years. It's just like give yourself a couple building blocks so that 5 years later from now, it's like, all right, we're not nothing. We can actually start doing things here.
Yeah, it's got to be a whole different mentality for the A's because now you got to be planning for the eventual money. Because what happens with the A's, like many other teams, the first beginning of the rebuild is, well, let's sell everything, let's get prospects, let's tank a little bit, let's draft good. And then you get your prospects up, and then the second stage is, well, now let's add free agency. But obviously, they never get there.
They've never got the second stage.
They never get there, so they got to start planning deeper, right? They got to wait longer because they got to get the whole stadium built. They got to go and move over there.
That's the thing.
It could be 5 years from now.
It could be a 5, and that might even be being generous because you know how long this shit takes, right? Everything, like all the paperwork and other things that you got to go through, like it could be a long period of time. So this is going to be a long-term plan for them. Signing these nice little high schoolers, 18 years old, who it's like, they have a lot of promise. We can't promise you guys that this is going to be somebody that develops in anybody, but because he is only 18 years old and you never know what's going to happen. But at 18 years old, he's throwing 95 on the hill and he hit 45 home runs in high school. So
that sounds
pretty good to me.
Yeah, like these high schoolers are high risk. Like high ceiling, low floor.
That's the thing.
Like it's like it could be anything.
Well, and also too, like it's not high risk. Because
right, it's not high. Yeah,
it's
unless you're like the Toronto Blue Jays or some other competitive organization where like we need guys now, then it's a little bit of risk.
Well, sure, yeah, but for these guys it's like whatever, it's like okay, it's $1.5 million. I guess maybe for the A's that's a lot of money, but like at the end of the for a regular baseball team that's chump change. That's nothing,
Yeah, exactly.
This guy doesn't turn out, whatever. We gave you $1.5 million.
Right.
You got to come over here. It was what it was, but with all the tools that he has and like. Let's face it, folks. There is a wave right now happening in Japan of just insane talent. Like clearly, like 2 decades ago, like there was a lot of like baseball families that were like doing the business.
Doing the business.
Yeah, 20 years ago, like there was a lot of these baseball families that were doing the business, and now their children are coming up, and it's like, oh shit, what's this wave of Japan that's happening right now? Like all these freaking Japanese superstars are coming out of nowhere. Wouldn't be shocked at all if this guy develops into somebody elite.
Oh, I know. And you look at I think about like Japanese players in the history of baseball, like Ichiro Suzuki. I think that 20 years ago, right? Like that guy came up was. I mean, obviously he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it's like oh shit, my kid could do that.
Yeah,
we have the potential.
Yeah, like be that elite at the MLB level. Like I think there was a wave right there. Now you're seeing the wave of Shohei Ohtani. Like think about it, when he broke into the league, that was 2017. This guy's 18. God, math, that's 8 years ago. He was 10 years old watching Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, like that is his superstar.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
right?
And I think like honestly, with the way that things are going, like you're just going to continue to see Japan get better and better and better because they're having success, right? Mm-hmm. They beat the U.S. in the World Baseball Classic 4 years ago. It's like nobody can say that like they can't do it. Right. They are right there. The best player in the league is a Japanese superstar.
Yeah,
so.
Think about that, right? The 2 highest paid players in the league are Shohei Ohtani from Japan and Juan Soto from the Dominican Republic. And maybe next winter could be another Dominican Republic guy and Canadian, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Where's the American superstars?
Where are they? And Mike Trout fell off a table.
Yeah,
he fell off a cliff right there.
Folks, that's the latest ongoings right now in MLB, in free agency. Hopefully we'll have some more to update you guys on with the Roki Sasaki news coming before January 23rd, or at least that is the deadline for it. If anything happens with Guerrero and the Mets, we will be on here talking about it, folks, and hopefully Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, everybody like that, they can get their deals done and dusted so we can start looking forward to next year.
Absolutely, guys. If you're on our YouTube right now, hit the like button. Subscribe to Bad for Baseball. We have weekly podcasts every Monday and every Thursday, so we hope to see you back here then.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching, folks. Cheers.